Hello, and welcome to another episode. I can't believe that it's already the end of January. I had planned to do a video as soon as the semester started, which for us was January the 11th. And I wanted to start the year off with a positive video. After, getting through 2020, it seemed like a good time to focus on that. And then unfortunately, 2021 did not start off that well. So it wasn't really easy to get started with the positive video at the time, which is why it's taken me a little bit longer to get to this point. So what I want to talk about today is just a little bit of reflection on what we've done, and then looking forward to how we're going to approach our teaching in 2021. So when we first, almost a year ago, heard that things were going to be shutting down because of the pandemic, and we were going to have to change the way that we were delivering our courses, we were very much in what I would term a sprint. We had a very short period of time to do a lot of work and get our classes up and running so that our students could continue their education in the spring semester. And so from mid-March through the end of May, most of us were just nonstop working to get that course out and delivered and work with our students to help them with their learning. Summer was still a period of uncertainty, and we still didn't quite know how things were going to happen as summer progressed and into the fall. And so we were still in sort of that emergency mode. We were constantly adjusting to whatever changes were thrown at us as we tried to, again, get ready to deliver a fall semester, which even, through parts of the summer, we weren't quite sure how it was going to happen. Would there be students on campus? Would we be completely remote? Lots and lots of questions were still there. Fall's come and gone now. We came up with our plans, we delivered them, and we got through another semester. And now we're into 2021. And what's changed? Well, vaccines for one. The vaccines are rolling out. People are starting to get them. And we're not so much in that emergency mode anymore, where every day is sort of what's going to happen next, how are we going to prepare, too many contingencies that we have to deal with. Some of that still exists because we don't quite know what's going to happen in terms of the vaccine rollout and what that's going to mean in the longer run for how we deliver our courses. But I would say much more we are in what I would call the marathon portion of this. Things aren't changing rapidly. They're still changing. We probably aren't 100% sure about what's going to happen next fall with the way we deliver our courses. But we have time to work on things now, at least relatively speaking, compared to last year. We know the general direction that we're going in. We know how things are going to hopefully progress as the vaccine rollouts continue. Eventually, we will start to see more in-person classes. We will start to see a return to something resembling what we were doing before the pandemic in terms of the way we deliver our courses and our opportunities and modes of which we can use to deliver those. So, like I said, I think we're in the marathon portion now where we're continuing to make changes, we're continuing to move forward, but it's not this urgency to make sudden, quick changes. But what that does mean is it gives us some other opportunities. And, we've gone through this really hard period of time. We were running constantly through our changes last year. Lots and lots of stress on everybody, our students, ourselves, and trying to make our progress and do the best thing we could with the tools we had at that moment, with the time that we had available to us. Now that we're in what I'm calling this kind of marathon phase, is we still need to be working on those things. We still need to be making changes. We still need to be improving how we teach. But I think we need to be a little more conscious of how we're doing that, a little more careful with ourselves and our time, and also what we're expecting from our students, so that we're not trying to, fix everything at once. I mean, we know that there's always ways we can improve our teaching, no matter what mode we're using. We're constantly looking at ways to do that. And what we can think about right now as we're moving through this spring of positive change with things starting to head in the right direction with the vaccines, we can use this time to make changes, but only the changes that we can see a positive outcome for, maybe, or not even necessarily a positive outcome, but we see that there's a need for change and we need to try new ways to try to solve that. But we need to get away from this wholesale, we have to change everything because we're in this kind of panic mode. What we need to be doing now, I think, is being very deliberate about how we make our changes. Identify the one or two things that you see are the biggest problems. From the fall semester, I'll probably spend some time talking about this in another video, but I've gotten my fall student evaluations back, and I've seen the places that students had good and bad comments about, and I could have tried to change everything that I saw problems with all at once and kind of gone back into that panic mode of doing too much too fast. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. It means that I may make other mistakes that will cause other problems, and that wouldn't be good for my students. So what I would say is try to focus now. Pick one or two things that you think need to be changed. I made some very small changes to my course for the spring because that's what I could do within a reasonable period of time and try to solve what some students saw as a problem. And I will continue to look at that, and maybe as I'm looking towards, the summer and the fall when I'll be teaching the same course again and still in the same format, I know already that I'll be teaching it online for both of those semesters. I can now spend a little bit of time this spring and into the early summer picking another problem that I think needs to be corrected and trying to do that one deliberate thing at a time. Not trying to fix everything at once. That's just too overwhelming. We've all been overwhelmed for the last year almost. So we can be, like I said, more deliberate about that. Remember, we're not in the sprint anymore. We're kind of in this marathon where we need to chug along, make our progress, keep pushing ourselves, but do it in a way that doesn't overwhelm us and not necessarily solve the problems that we need to face, right? We need to pick out the things, be very thoughtful about the choices of what we're going to change, because some, change is not always good. We might change something that was working for some students and not for others, and then switch that. So now it's not working for the other group that it was working for. So we just need to be thinking about our teaching and, the techniques and the delivery and whatever it is that you're doing, and find, specific changes you want to make. Put those into place, see how that works, and then pick another thing that needs to be, corrected or improved. And I think that's a more healthy way to do that, as we've already gone through such a anxiety producing, just stressful last 9 to 12 months. And I have to remind myself to not try to fix everything. I tend to be someone who I want everything to be as good as possible, and that's not always going to happen when you've got multiple things and many people you're trying to serve. And I have to kind of step back and say, okay, what are the things that must be changed? Work on those first. What are the things that I think are going to help the most people if I make that change? Then put those in line to be fixed. And instead of trying to fix everything or worry about trying to fix everything at once. So keep positive. Remember, you did a lot of good things last year. We've have made tons of progress in delivering our courses and meeting the needs of our students in the last year despite the pandemic. And so there's a lot of positive things we can build upon. And as we move into 2021 and we continue to work on these things, just remember what we've done, how much good work we've done, and continue to work to improve. So thank you very much for watching again, and I will see you soon.